All right, buddy. Welcome in here. We are live. Latest episode, That SEC Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. Go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And that, of course, is Cousin Shane, who's ready as ever. He goes by Big Orange Vols on Twitter. What's up, yo, Tessie Hober?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Hey, doing good, my man. Just feels like one of those days I don't know about you, Shane, but it feels like for me, I feel like I just woke up and I looked up at 6 o'clock. We got to get a show going here.
Yeah, it's like the sun was going down, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, are we having another solar eclipse? Oh, no, we got a podcast to get to. So, yeah, I just jumped on. So I hope everything's working. Camera's looking pretty good. Audio's looking good, but everybody's piling in. How you been, brother? How's your day been?
Like I said, man, it feels like I've got nothing accomplished, but really, I've been working. We got a loaded show, Shane. I will start there. We got 8 spring games this Saturday, so we got a lot of coaches coming our way here. I've been working on getting clips ready for the show. We got ESPN put out their top 10 coaches in the country. I'm going to ask you about that in a second here, Shane, because I'm going to tear it to pieces. But
in what, 40 time or? What are we talking about? What list are we on right now?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Shade was working on a punchable faces. That's not what ESPN did.
Well, it's funny because we're in a little bit of a list season here, Mike, so we're going to have a few coming out. And I'm not going to say who it was because he wasn't in the SEC, but there was a coach that came on TV, and I was like, man, he's just got a punchable face. You know what I'm saying? And I thought to myself, we should power rank. So I'm going to look for tomorrow on the Twitters. I'm going to put out 16 SEC coaches, and we're going to figure out who's got the most punchable face. So that's my little quick breakdown. I just thought about that. And top 10 coaches. I guess this is in the country for football, I would imagine, even though basketball has kind of been in the news here lately.
Right. So, Shane, let's get into it here. And before I forgot one thing. We had I wouldn't necessarily call this breaking news, but we did have news in the SEC, and I'm all for it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But Missouri, they've moved up their season opener, Shane. They moved it away from Saturday. It's going to be Thursday. They did this last year as well. So we're playing Murray State in the opener Thursday, August 29th. It's going to be nationally televised on SEC Network. And then right after they announced that, Shane, we got another one. Oklahoma. They moved up their opener to Friday. So Friday, August 30th against Temple, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central on ESPN. So we got nationally televised games on Thursday, nationally televised games on Friday, and then, of course, Saturday, all-day football. And there's going to be the Sunday night, I believe it is, LSU Southern Cal game as well. So we got an absolutely loaded opening weekend.
Dude, it can't get summer ain't even here yet, but I'm ready for it to end already, Mike, because that's going to be an awesome week, brother. Hey, I'm also looking for it. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but Vanderbilt has been doing this thing for a couple of years now, so don't be surprised if they don't flex a week 0, and then that way all of a sudden we got football a week early. So, hey, if you're going to call in, there's your week right there. Get college football every single day.
Right, and that's what I was going to say, Shane. I mean, I think, again, I know some people they're like, oh, Friday, that's for high school football, which I tend to agree with that, but I think you can make you make an exception for week 1. We don't want Missouri playing every Thursday. We want them playing just the opening Thursday.
Right.
We don't want LSU playing every Sunday. That's, but for the week 1, there's no NFL. It makes all the sense in the world. And I would go a step further, Shane. Wednesday, that may be a little crazy, but if we did Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, of course, there's games on Saturday all day, Sunday, Monday. I mean, I think the SEC could really monopolize the entire schedule there. At least give us 4 or 5 days in a row of some college football action to open the season. I'd be all for that.
Well, again, don't be surprised if you don't see a version of this because you got to remember who's writing the checks now, ESPN. So they're going to want to make sure that they get as many eyes as possible on every single football game. So it's kind of nice having the schedule juggle around the SEC.
Right. And then one other thing, this just caught my attention, Shane. we're so damn excited for this football game. But shout out Orange Bloods over there. Anwar's our good buddy. He's been on the show a bunch of times. They put out a graphic, Shane, and I'm just going to read it to you, Shane, because they're giving Texas fans 3 options, okay?
Yeah.
Would you rather win the SEC conference but not have a playoff win, but you get to beat Texas A&M by 3? So, all right, so win the conference, beat A&M by 3, but no playoff wins. Or would you rather win a playoff game, you don't win the SEC championship, but you do get to beat A&M by 3? Or last option here, and this is the one that's the most ridiculous, but I love the fact that they did this. Beat Texas A&M by 21 points, but you don't win the SEC and you don't win a playoff game. What would you rather have? They're asking Texas fans. And the fact that we're getting these hypotheticals 235 days away from that football game, Shane. So I have no idea what they're saying here, but what do you think is the most popular? Winning the SEC, winning a playoff game, or just destroying A&M and getting nothing else?
Mike, honestly, I think the SEC would be the biggest one on the list here because, again, 30 years from now, you could still talk about the first year that Texas was in the SEC, and guess what? They won an SEC championship. Steve Spurrier said it best. It's harder winning an SEC championship than it is a natty. So, yeah, give me that one right there.
I think you're wrong, Shane. I think they want to beat A&M by 21 points. The rest of it be damned.
No. No, I don't know. I think that it's a prideful bunch that's coming over here with high expectations, and expectations are to win SEC championships. And can you beat Texas A&M? Absolutely. There's going to be many years of beating A&M, but I don't know. Just when the dust settles and you're telling your grandkids about that time you joined the conference, guess who won the SEC champ? That holds a lot of power.
Okay, so let's get into this real quick, Shay. We don't have to spend a ton of time breaking down these rankings or anything, but ESPN, they put out a recent top 10 coaches in all of college football. This is not SEC, all of college football. And some of these, I'm just trying to figure out what in the hell they were thinking here. Obviously, Kirby Smart leads the way, but I did want to mention this because I think that people just kind of overlook it because he's the easy answer. He's the slam dunk answer. I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, Shane, there was a lot of people that even doubted whether Kirby was a big-time coach. I mean, he had a great record, but it was always popular to say he's just Mark Richt 2.0. He can't win a big game, can't beat Nick Saban. So just the point being, this can change quickly, but no issue with King Kirby, as Larry calls him, right?
No, none at all here. And I kind of miss the old Mark Richt 2.0 days. I'm not going to lie.
Now here's where things get squirrely quick, and I'm not necessarily saying this guy's not the second best coach in all of college football, but it's just kind of stunning to me that we're having this conversation already. Kalen DeBoer, Alabama, Shane, again, he's at Alabama, took Washington to the playoff, hell of a coach. But it's wild to me that after just 2 years at Power 5, he's already being anointed as the second best coach in all of college football. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, for all those Bamers that are like on cloud 9 right now because they've got this guy, if he wasn't at that university, they'd be shitting on this list themselves. You know what I'm saying? We'd be all saying, hey, he's a good coach, and he's just needing a great opportunity, and he's got to prove that in the SEC. You know, so I think this is way too high here. This is it could be a flash in the pan. Not saying that it couldn't be something, but we've all seen these coaches that look good elsewhere, and then they show up in the SEC, and it's another story.
Right. So, and then here's another one, Shane. This is a great coach. Maybe speaks to, maybe how down the coaching is in college football. Not that it necessarily is, but at least perception-wise. Number 3 coach in all of college football, according to ESPN right now, Kyle Whittingham, Utah, who lost to Billy Napier a couple years ago. Kyle Whittingham, the Utah coach, is he the third best coach in all of college football?
No, 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 absolutely not. And again, one of these coaches that we're going to get behind until he takes a big conference job somewhere. So, yeah, no, get off here.
And then Dabo, we got Dabo number 4. They've been in damn ruin for about 4 or 5 years here. He did win 2 national championships. He had Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, of course, but without them, he's not really done anything of significance. It's hard to put him number 4 overall.
Who wrote this list?
ESPN.
ESPN. I tell you what, I got stock in Disney, but you might want to sell it if you got Dabo this high.
Then they got Mike Norvell, Florida State coach, number 5. He had one great year. I kind of get that.
Let me again. Are you now? Norvell's a guy that I could see in the top 10. Now, maybe not top 5, but this is a guy that, had a lot of rumors and a lot of people, a lot of universities wanted him in the SEC. So he has proved it in Florida State. So I kind of like him here where he's at.
And then here's another one, number 6. I think this guy could be a future star, Shane, but I feel like we're just giving it to him at this point. Number 6, Dan Lanning, Oregon. He's been a head coach, I believe, 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He's won a lot of games at Oregon. He's not won anything of significance. And I'm struggling. I mean, I would think of like 6 coaches in the SEC I'd rather hire than Dan Lanning.
6 coaches in the SEC other than Dan? I don't know, man. I don't know. He was the sexy hire in the offseason. A lot of people, Texas A&M included, would love to have him, but who are I'm just curious, who would be the ones in front of him in the SEC? I'm putting you on the list. I mean, I don't want to Paul Firebomb you here, but that's a bold statement there, Mike.
Give me Kirby, of course.
Yeah.
And then one guy, you're kind of jumping ahead here. He's not even on the list, Shane, but I take Brian Kelly over Dan Lanning. I mean, he's not even on this list for some reason. Give me, I think, Josh Heupel I'd rather have than Dan Lanning. Again, Dan Lanning's been a head coach for two seasons, took over a great situation. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been good. He's been solid, but I don't know about that. I think I'd take Lane Kiffin. Yeah. Probably, I should have mentioned him before even Brian Kelly. I'd give me Lane Kiffin over Dan Lanning. I think he's been a better head coach. And how about our guy, Eli Drinkwitz? I mean, what he's doing at Missouri, doing it in Missouri, I guess SEC competition, that's a hell of a lot more impressive than what you're doing in Oregon with all the Nike money, in my opinion.
No. I get what you're saying. It's that whole Mark Stoops topic, that would he be a better coach elsewhere? So, okay. I can be convinced on this one. Now, that's the tough one. Everybody's going to look at because he's had one good year as opposed to Dan's 2. But you're all right. You give him some Nike money and you put him out there by himself in those beautiful green uniforms, then, I don't know, maybe he's a 11-1, 12-0 every single year.
And then by 6, I know I bash him, but give me him over Dan Lanning, 7th on this list. Steve Sarkisian, who better track record, just won his conference title, just beat Alabama. Well, I thought they should have beat Washington, but again, he got his team to the playoff. Dan Lanning hasn't.
Would you rather take Sark or Dan Lanning?
That's what I'm saying. Give me Sark. Give me Sark over Dan Lanning.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. I agree with you. Yeah.
So they got 8. They got Lane Kiffin. They got Lance Leipold, who I had to Google who that is. Kansas coach number 9. Oh my God. And then Ryan Day, number 10. But again, I think Brian Kelly should be in the top 10. This is ridiculous. I think you can make the case Josh Heupel. They would have put him in a year ago. Mm-hmm. I realized he didn't have a great. Again, he's sitting here. They went 9-4. We're sitting here saying he did a bad job. That's questionable given Tennessee's track record the last 20 so odd years. And Eli Drinkwitz, again, I'm not ready to put Drink in the top 10, but give me him over Lance Leipold. You know what I mean? He just whooped Ryan Day's ass in a bowl game, I do believe.
Absolutely. Ryan Day's another one that doesn't belong here. He's just, Ohio State belongs here, So is there any coaches that you've not mentioned that you could see at the end of the season we make? What?
Space Mountain says Napier, 129th.
Other than Drink, other than Heupel, is there one guy that you could see at the end of the season we're saying, hey, this guy should be considered top 10 coach in the country?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wasn't prepared for that one, Shane, but there's a couple on the top of my mind. Mike Elko at A&M. Mm-hmm. Again, if he walks into there and has a big impact like he did at Duke, remember Duke won 9 games his first year. I believe they had not won 9 games in the previous 3 seasons combined, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, he had an immediate impact. If he can do that at A&M, I think we can say he's near the top 10 in the country. Yeah. Again, I call out Hugh Freeze all the time, but if they take a big jump, I think he deserves some consideration if I'm wrong there. And then what about there was one more I had on the tip of my tongue here, Shane. Who else we got here? I guess it's just Elko and Hugh Freeze right now. Yeah,
I think that's it. Unless you got a huge surprise, like a Kentucky goes off or Oklahoma goes off.
There was one I was forgetting. And again, this guy's been questioned too, but I thought they were really good last year. Brent Venables, Oklahoma. If they come into this league, again, the over-under is 7.5 for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Let's say they win 9 or not, you're probably going to do better than that. If you go 10-2 in your debut season in the SEC, I think you're a top 10 coach in all of college football.
Yeah, and back-to-back very successful seasons, in my opinion. So, I'm right there with you. I can't make an argument there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of who they left off on the list, Shane, let's kick it over to Brian Kelly, who, if you haven't heard, Shane, massive buzz coming for Kyron Lacey. He's apparently going to be the next big. And remember, of course, Brian Kelly a couple weeks ago said Chris Hilton is that receiver taking a big jump. But as spring goes on, everyone I talk to that associated with LSU, Kyron Lacey. They just had a scrimmage. He dominated the scrimmage. Let's kick it over to Brian Kelly.
Hey, Coach. It seems like Kyron Lacey just continues to make plays all spring. I know we asked you about him earlier in the spring. You said his kind of consistency in practice, but just what else has contributed, if anything, to the way he's kind of continues to emerge?
So as I have mentioned about Kyron Lacey, one of the things that has clearly been present is that consistency. That wasn't necessarily the case with Kyron. He was easily distracted at times. And I think what has happened here more than anything else is he has found the right zone to be in as it relates to practicing and preparation. I think he learned a lot last year watching Malik and BT and the way they came to practice every day and how they performed, and said, I can do this too. And I'm really proud of him and happy for him, because he's going to have a breakout season because of it. I can see just the way he takes over a practice now in terms of his ability, based upon having a Malik Neighbors and a Brian Thomas, how that's going to translate into great success for him.
Well, we all know, Shane, LSU, there's basically wide receiver U out of the SEC. So it sounds like Kyron Lacey's one to circle on, and hopefully Prize Picks, they pick us back up next football season. Remember that name, because I'm going to hit the over on Kyron Lacey catches and receptions early in the season.
My ball coach is that excited. You know what I'm saying? Usually they're trying to tamper down those expectations, but when I hear words like breakout from your head coach, it's exciting with you're an LSU fan. So, and
right.
And we've talked about this many times about who is the new wide receiver you, and you can make the strong case that it is LSU.
Yeah, and then another thing to keep up. I saw someone in the comments just mention it. Shane Bear Alexander, former 5-star. He was at Georgia, transferred to Southern Cal. Now apparently he's jumping back in the portal, and it does sound like he may be headed to Texas already. But LSU, that may be one to watch as well. A lot of teams in the SEC need help, specifically on the interior of that defensive line. But one thing during spring camp I've heard about the Tigers, Shane, their offensive line's been dominant. Maybe the best offensive line in the entire country. They are basically having their way with the defensive line, but that's not to say LSU doesn't have a good defensive line, because it's probably the more deeper unit. They go 10, 12 deep on that defensive line. let's kick it over to Brian Kelly one more time on the progress of that defensive line this spring in Baton Rouge.
Coach, it seemed like the D-line got after the quarterback a little bit better today than they have for most of spring. What can you talk about the progression of that unit throughout spring?
Well, it's sometimes hard because, when we talk about the defensive line, you're talking about a combination of whether it's third down and we have our third down pass rushers in there. Because I don't know if you saw in one instance, we've moved, Braden Swinson inside. We've got Paris Shand inside, and then you've got on the edge. You've got Womack on the edge. You've got Harold on the edge. I mean, you've got a different configuration, right? And I think we can be really dynamic with some of the defensive linemen moving the pieces around, and I think that's what we're going to be doing. I think on first and second down, we're going to have to really work hard and getting after the quarterback on first and second down. But in terms of stopping the run, Jacoby Guillory has been outstanding. I mean, he's singularly been I think in terms of what Bo Davis is looking for, he's been outstanding, and he's been a stalwart. We got to find the other guy, and that's what we're looking for. We're trying to develop that second guy, and then we'll have some depth guys behind him, but Guillory's been outstanding. But the pass rush is coming from a combination of ends and, kind of that drop position being moved inside.
So they're looking for that guy, Shane. Could it be Bear Alexander who just put in a point? I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. You said he's looking for someone out there.
Yeah, has he got any more room for tattoos? What university getting on there next?
Hey, shout out to King of Shenanagiathia, whatever. $2. Appreciate you. So happy you're back, cousin Shane. Love
Thank
the
you, cuz.
stream. So we appreciate you. So, yeah, Shane, next, we got an entertaining clip here. Unfortunately, Shane, sounds like at Ole Miss, I told you. Lane Kiffin, he don't want to give away anything for the spring game. He wants the offense to win. We ain't got a defense. Don't put anything on tape. So it sounds like they're not even going to do technically a spring game. They're going to do like 7-on-7. They're going to be doing slam dunks. They're going to be doing basically a skills game is what he said. They're also doing a hot dog eating contest with Joey Chestnut. Let's kick it over to Lane Kiffin.
I know y'all kind of announced what the format will look like Saturday. Do you kind of have what y'all those events or skills might be besides the 7-on-7?
I would say I would kind of describe it as like a Pro Bowl plus, meaning, the 7-on-7 would look like what if you watched the Pro Bowl before, the flag football part. The players have, drafted teams, coaches, players, everything for that. There'll be some fan involvement in some different things, fraternity and sorority. There'll be an obstacle course. There'll be a dunk competition. And there'll be a hot dog eating competition. And Joey Chestnut will be here for that.
So will I.
So, it should be exciting for people to watch, come see, and I think it'll be pretty cool for our fans.
Appropriate follow-up. How did y'all get Joey Chestnut to come to town?
Kind of how everybody does nowadays. I just DM'd him. Slid in his DMs.
So it must be asked now, Shane. Over under, I'm trying to think of where to set this number. Over under 100 DMs Lane Kiffin has slid into of young ladies here.
Oh,
I know he's happy. He's in a relationship. He's happy, but I'm saying when he's single.
Yeah. I'm sure there's been a few, freshwater out there. But hey, I'll say this on this note, Mike. I kind of hate it and I kind of like it because if you can, everybody wants to see. Some of these teams, I think we need to see an actual event. I think we need to rest put our minds at ease that, hey, this quarterback is legit, or this offense is going to be well, or this defense has improved, that sort of thing. I think Ole Miss is a totally different thing right now. and it's entertainment. You're attracting these kids to come in there and play. There's going to be a lot of recruits in there. And one of my favorite events growing up, was the Pro Bowl. And it wasn't so much that football game. It was the build up toward that, the quarterback competitions and everything like that. It was just a fun environment. So it feels like that's what we're trying to mimic here with Ole Miss, and I hope it's a success.
Right.
Do you think I could give Chestnut a run for his money? I mean, is that – Coach hasn't slid my DMs, I'll let you know. But
I don't think so,
anytime I
man.
get some free hot dogs, just,
I think you could stay with him the first like 3 or 4, but that guy's a machine. I think he could put down about 30 in about 10 minutes.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
All right, well, somewhere where they really need the practice, Shane, and they're going to have a traditional spring game, so credit them. My Florida Gators. Let's kick it over to Billy Napier.
Yeah, no, I think you're thinking the right way. I mean, I think ultimately for me, we've got a format that we use, and we're going to continue to do that. It's worked for us in the past. I do think that we're deeper, and I think in particular at certain positions that contribute to the things that you're talking about, right? So I think that hopefully will allow us to play cleaner and it to be more competitive and more productive, But overall, we really have a philosophy. We've been here for 2 years. I think we're going to go let them play, So we got a lot of young players. You think about the spring game. This is the first opportunity for our fans to watch this 2024 team. In particular, a bunch of these rookies, not only the high school players, but the transfers. And I'm going to tell you, after the spring game is over, we've got a unique partnership with Florida Victorious to actually meet the team. So I think our fans are going to have it's an opportunity to be a great experience. So we're hopeful we can put on a good show. I guess that's what I would say.
So I also thought that was interesting, Shane, the fact that they're promoting, hey, come meet the players. I'm sure it comes with a cost, but that's all part of the NIL world. So I like when coaches put that out there. But shout out Cousin Andrew. He says, I hope Cousin Shane gets new walking shoes before the fall. So appreciate
Thank
you,
you, Cousin Andrew.
But, hey, again, Shane, this is multiple times, and this is why I'm playing it, because Billy Napier, he's saying the same thing. This is our best team. We've got more experience. We're a deeper roster. Maybe they've had comically bad spring games before down there in Gainesville under Billy Napier. But in fairness, maybe that is because the roster was not where it is today. So maybe we'll get a little bit more competitive ball game here. We got 2 quarterbacks to be excited about. Graham Mertz, of course, DJ Lagway, the 5-star freshman.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty fired up to see Florida, see if I'm right. If they look awful, I'm going to abandon quickly.
Yeah, but there's still that shot, brother. There's that optimism that every fan base has. And if you're a Florida Gator out there and you're watching that SEC podcast right now and you listen to Coach come out here and tell you how deep and how quick and how good they look, there's just that natural. But again, you're building yourself up. And that's one thing you got to be really careful, because if you start moving that expectations a little higher and higher and you walk away with a 7-8 win season, which may be a success in your mind, it won't be for the Florida Gator fans. So that's one of those things. It's a slippery slope, but I do like these words coming out from Coach. And just a side note, wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe have some background music when Coach is talking, just to kind of bring everybody in, maybe a little, let one of them kids crank up some of that music in the background.
All right, how about, speaking of music, Shane, Tennessee, Josh Heupel and company, they're going to be having their spring game on Saturday, and continue to hear, Shane, this defensive line. They're hyping it up. Heupel says it's taken us a while to get here, but I think it's an discussed topic because we all get enamored with Nico and the offense and the receivers and the running backs and all this. But it could be the defensive line that is the difference between Tennessee being good and elite this fall. Let's kick it over to Josh Heupel.
Lacking so far on defense, is that mostly coming from those veterans on the front?
Yeah, I mean, some of it, absolutely. Our defensive line has brought great energy and consistency every single day that we've been on the practice field. Veteran group, especially on the interior, that has kind of led the way. Our edge group continues to get better, and the young guys and new guys have really grown inside of it really quickly, and they're playing with great pad level. They're using their hands better than they ever have, and I'm not just talking in pass rush, in the run game too. So really like what that group's done.
Was it strategic to build up that D-line over this point of time? Is this how you thought it would be, having this much depth up there?
Yeah, you want to be really good as a football team. It starts with your defensive line, and just how we got here, everything that the circumstances that were here when we first got here. It's taken a little time to build that group up, but certainly, just the athleticism across the entire group, and so really like what Coach Banks, Coach Garner, and Coach Eckler have done with that group, and we still got a lot of room to grow before we're where we need to be when we open up.
Shane Sandman says, damn, Heupel really let himself go. I hate to hear what he says about us.
Yeah, absolutely. Should have seen me in high school. No, I think a hot man. It's just something about it when you hear your guy. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's out there. They hear the guy and they get a little excited because you hear a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you're getting pumped up, man. And that's one thing that people have been sleeping on is that defensive front that Tennessee is putting together. It's going to be nasty, and that's good because that's what you look at Tennessee in the past with Heupel. They've been able to put points up, but the problem is keeping them from keeping up with us. So this is just music to my ears, brother.
Right, but it is important to note, Shane, that again, I get it. People, they think of offense when they think of Tennessee, but Tennessee last year, number 1 in the SEC tackles for loss, number 2 in sacks. I believe they were number 1 in tackles for loss Heupel's first year on Rocky Top as well. So, I mean, they have a history of producing on the defense. Now, the secondary, he's got kind of in a second. That's a different story. But if the defensive line has been a strength, which it has been under Rodney Gardner, he's one of the best defensive line coaches in all the country, and they're hyping up this one as the best one yet. I don't know. I'm just, again, remember I read the notes from someone that was at practice said, by God, this is 98 Vols all over again. Now, he may have been a little over the moon there, but the fact that this could be potentially the best defensive line Tennessee's had in a decade plus to go with this offense, that's the difference between, competing for a SEC and a college football playoff spot.
Oh, don't stop, Mike. Keep going. Shoelace.
Yeah, shout out Shoelace. Just gave us $50. Good evening, cousins. Love the show. Big Oklahoma man. But hey, since he gave us $50, Shay, let's talk Oklahoma here for a second. But how big? Because I was trying to find Venables clips, but I didn't have any.
Now I can get a pair of shoes. Now I can walk. Thank you. Shoelace, pun intended.
This big game here, Shade, and we've spoken a lot about it with a lot of people, but September 21st, Oklahoma hosts Tennessee. It's going to be the first SEC game for Oklahoma. It'll be the first SEC game for Tennessee next season. I mean, how excited are you for that one, and where would you lean given the fact that this one's in Norman, Oklahoma? Maybe a different story if it was in Neyland Stadium, although last I checked, Oklahoma's got a pretty good track record at Neyland Stadium too.
Yeah, no, I'm a Tennessee homer. I mean, I'm not going to hide it, but I don't think that this is going to be a large point spread type game. I think this is a 2.5, 3 kind of score, spread by the time we'll get to it, because I think Oklahoma will be undefeated. I think there's a shot Tennessee's undefeated, and now we've got everybody in the country watching this matchup with Heupel returning back to Oklahoma. The storylines is going to be awesome. I mean, it's just going to be such a buildup to this matchup, and this is why we were excited about teams like Texas and Oklahoma joining, because we got some of these stories that we've talked about in the past,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for it, man. But all right, we do got one more Heupel clip.
God, can we go to that one? Shoelace, can you get us to that one? That would be a hell of a game.
The more we talk, the more we commit to all these games. I don't know
how
many we can actually go to. But, again, let's say Tennessee does have the best defensive line in the country, which is certainly not a given. if they got the worst secondary like they've been having, it's not going to matter for anything. Let's kick it over to Heupel one more time on all these new faces in the secondary.
Touched on a few guys in the secondary. How's that group overall look with so much turnover there? It seems like you're pretty athletic on the back end.
Yeah, just, we knew that we had to continue to add athleticism, length, playmaking ability on the secondary. And the guys that have come in here, that's high school guys and transfer portal guys. You can see that as soon as you walk on the practice field with those guys. A lot of growth left for them within our scheme, little details, nuances, the communication, but really like where that group's headed. They've made plays and, continue to compete at a really high level.
All right, Shane, so the question there, when Jackson Arnold is throwing all these passes on him, how's this secondary going to hold up of the Tennessee Vols, do you think?
I mean, I'd like to be optimistic, but, as a Tennessee homer and a Tennessee fan, it's like we've seen some dicey play from the secondary. And there's been moments, there's been flashes, of course, but I don't know. It's just the depth. And I think that's what's key here with Tennessee. It just feels like we've got a little more competitive depth coming into this season, mainly on that defensive side. But we talked at the start with the Vols with that defensive front, and that's what makes a secondary better, Mike. And I know it sounds crazy, but if those boys can pin their ears back and give the quarterback no time to throw, then all of a sudden you open up a little bit more, maybe like separation, if you will, just ball hawks. They're going to seem like that because now those opportunities will come in.
Right. And I just thought of one more question here because Shoelace was so kind here. But let's throw up the Oklahoma schedule one more time. Let's move aside from Texas because I think that is the obvious answer. If Oklahoma, one game on their schedule here, and I'm looking just at the SEC games, that if they win it, it'll be like, hey, SEC's not too big for us. Is it that Tennessee game? Would it be a road game like at Auburn, at Ole Miss? Mizzou, there's a ton of bad blood with Mizzou right now, at LSU. Or is it that November 23rd when big bad Alabama comes to Norman? So again, I'm asking you, if there's one game the Sooners could win that kind of validates that they can play with the best of the best in the SEC, is there one that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the one that you look at, November 23rd with Alabama, but I'm going Week 4 Tennessee. I think if you could come out, beat the Volunteers that are picking up kind of some of that hype, and they will be by the time the season starts. Everybody's going to be talking about how great Tennessee can be, but if Oklahoma wins by multiple scores, then all of a sudden, Oklahoma's legit. So I think that legitimizes them coming into the conference is beating up on Tennessee Vols.
Yeah, now Cousin Rick's following through. Freaky, I appreciate you, cousin, following the new Cousin Shoelace Suitor example, calling out these cousin hordes here. I love it. That's another one, Shane. I was trying to find A&M.
There's my left shoe.
So let's dive into A&M real quick for Cousin Rick here. But, a similar thing here. I guess the easy answer is Texas when it comes to, the game they want the most. But maybe because it's the last game, I think we will already have some indication of how good of a coach or bad. I mean, I don't think he's bad, but how good or bad Elko is, how good or bad this A&M team is. So you can't pick Texas. One game on here that will kind of validate Mike Elko as a big-time coach, as the A&M Aggies, as a team that is looking to make some noise in the SEC. Is there one there on the schedule?
Yeah, well, I'm going to kind of cheat because I always cheat, Mike. I'm going to pick 2. I think that Notre Dame game right out of the gate is a big one. Yeah. Just because, A&M should beat Notre Dame, but again, it's that brand recognition. If you get beat by Notre Dame, then all of a sudden we're saying, well, let's don't televise them at 3:30 anymore. You know what I'm saying? And they start drifting down there to those noon kickoffs. We don't want that. We want to start out here 5-0 going against Mizzou. I think that's your game right there, Mike. At that time, Mizzou will probably be a top 5, top 10 team for sure. And you're talking about a big win. Starting out the season 6-0 after firing Jimbo Fisher, they're going to be doing cartwheels down there in College Station.
Yeah.
Think how much milk's going to be drank, you know?
How about John says that wealthy SEC podcast? I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we should just cut it right here, Mike.
All right. Speaking of our guy Sam Pittman, though, Shane, another big spring game here that I'll be watching this weekend. Very interested to see what Bobby Petrino's got cooked up for us, what Taylon Green's got cooked up for us. And that is something Sam Pittman said, which obviously they're not going to go live with Taylon Green because they don't want him to get hurt or anything. But, no, I got it here. I thought I forgot to. They're not going to go live with their quarterback, but do you really get a full indication of what he is? Because he's so dynamic with his legs here. Let's kick it over to Sam Pittman.
I think it's tough to hide that too, though. You know, it's like, you know, a coach doesn't want you to be mobile. They want you to get down. But all those guys, they just got it in their DNA. They can't help it. So you'll still see flashes of it.
Taylon, when Bobby came in and spoke with us last week, he kind of mentioned how you don't really see Taylon's ceiling because he's not getting tackled and stuff. I mean, how do you go about evaluating that? You know, your quarterback, what he can do in the run when the pads are live without kind of, you know, obviously you want to keep him safe and not have him getting hit. But what's the evaluation process there, and will you maybe put him in the line of fire at all this offseason?
We won't, but I'll say this, that the only way that we can have some type of, we obviously see that he's fast and things, but you know, you can go back and look at his film from last year when he took off. You know, what did he do? And there was some pretty amazing things when he was able to run. I could still remember we were playing Rice out here, and I don't know that we really knew what KJ Jefferson was running the football, and then Browse caught an option play, and that got called back for a holding. I think we gained about 50, and we got about 10 out of it, out at the wideout. But we really found out more about him when the game started. Now, obviously in practice we can see him do some things, and we've got plays where he is the primary runner, depending on what the tackle does, what the end does. We just haven't used those as much because we've been working more on his play action game and on his drop back game, because we are assuming from tape that we watch that he is a dynamic runner. But we can't afford to get him hit, and probably that major evaluation will be when we play Arkansas Pine Bluff.
And Anton.
Oh, shout out Cousin Dakota. He gave us $50 as well. The
Dakota
rest goes to Mizzou NIL, he said. With the portal opening up, Mizzou's going to be an active team there, Shane. Again, that's something I'm hearing where not that they have a lot of holes or anything, but I think they identified a couple during spring. They've got a couple of spots open. They got other players entering the portal, so they'll potentially have even more spots. Not that they're going to pull an Ole Miss here and bring in 20 guys. They don't have that many spots, but you know that is going to be fascinating to see, and that is something that Sam Pittman. Again, I really wanted to play all these coaches, basically, and we'll get to one more. We're asked about the portal this week, Shane, and this is pretty much the consensus, but this was the best comments from Sam Pittman.
Maybe getting ahead of you a little bit, but, I mean, next week, portal opens, contact period opens. It's a lot of chaos. You guys ready to jump into that are you going to take a little break?
We're ready for it. I don't want to. I'm a totally different person. When the portal's open, it's just it's hard on the mind, 15 days. I believe it's been longer than that in the past, and so I've told the team if we just keep this team that we're going to have a really good team. We just don't lose anybody off of this team, and obviously we have conversations with our kids and then with the coaches trying to figure out all that stuff. But hopefully we don't have anybody go in the portal. And I don't care if they're fourth team, third team, they're part of the team. They fit on the team. And but if we do, obviously we can go out and replace, but that's not what we're looking forward to. We don't want to do that.
So that's the reality of it, Shane. I mean, none of these guys know who's jumping in. Who, they may be fine at a position today. They may not be fine at that position a week from now when the portal madness ensues.
God, man, you know Sam would have been a hell of a coach back in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Just like, and he was, I'm sure, but you know what I'm saying? It's just going in there, not having to worry about the transfer portal, just in the living room, talking to the families. You know the kids are coming. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Man, it's tough. And I know Coach does not like that aspect of it. I know he's not fan of social media, but brother, that's the times, man. And you know, I've been trying to get Mike to play Fortnite, and Mike won't do it. And the only he asked me, he goes, who was it? Somebody asked me if I got a snap score or streak or something like that going on. I'm like, dude, my kids play Fortnite, and if I don't get on there and play with them, they ain't gonna hang out with me. It's like the last rope before they go. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I'm getting pretty damn good at it, and we'll start streaming before too long.
Hey, shout out to cousin Shane Harville. He gave us $10, Shane.
Hey, cousin, thank you.
Damn big. Arkansas is beating both UTs this season. You don't like to hear that, but let's look at their schedule real quick.
Get out of here.
What are the odds? Oh, man, a month apart from each other. October 5th, Tennessee comes to town. November 16th, Texas comes to town. The good news is both those teams at home, or both those games at home, but they'll be underdogs in both. But hell, I'm pretty sure, Shane, the last time they faced each of them, they beat them.
Yep. Well, I mean, it starts out week 2, Mike. Arkansas's got to win week 2. I think they got to start out 3-0 going into that Auburn game. And this is a team that cannot afford to take their foot off the gas because they've got some tough matchups, especially late in the season. You look at Ole Miss, Texas, Mizzou, 3 out of the last 4 there. So getting that streak going at the start of the season is so pivotal, and it's tough. New coordinator, new quarterback, there's a lot of missing new pieces, but the excuses are done. There is no more rope for Sam Pittman here.
Right. And again, I know we keep joking about it, but that is one game, October 5th, we've talked about going to. So I think I'm going to try to go to it. I know my dad's a big Tennessee guy. My uncle's a big Arkansas guy. They're already planning to be there. So who knows? We could be there. I know we want to be at the Red River rivalry as well. So yeah, like I said, our schedule's filling up quick over here, buddy. You know what?
I'd like to see. Well, they got me when they started making they got the bar there at the stadium now. So I think I wasn't gonna go there. And then they started serving beer. I was like, well, maybe we go.
Hey, shoelace, just up to $100.
Oh, shoelace.
Boomer. Yeah, I appreciate you, shoelace. Man, what a guy.
Thank you, brother. I got to take a shirt off or something? What's up? What's a $100 roll? I got to do a dance? Turn that damn jukebox up.
Well, let's kick it all down next, shade to Columbia, Mizzou. Columbia, South Carolina, where we got no answers on the quarterback competition. And I don't know how you go feel after these, Shade, because I'm getting a feeling that there's absolutely no answer here.
Shane, I know you're probably tired of being asked this, but fan base obviously be very interested this past Saturday. Was there any type of separation in that quarterback room, and what were some of the pros you were able to take away from all the guys?
Yeah, I don't know if there was a separation. I know I told Phil asked that last week, and I said it that there may be, and there maybe was in some ways. It was kind of tough. I thought all the quarterbacks did a great job of protecting the football. There were no turnovers at all in the scrimmage, which is rare in any scrimmage. There was a ball that Judge Collier made a great play and knocked the ball out on a fumble that Nazio Bennett was hustling and fell on the ball and got the ball back for the offense. But the offense didn't turn the ball over, which was great. Now, as a head coach, you don't like it because the defense didn't create takeaways, but I thought all those guys did some really good things. Lenoris, when he was in there, made a couple nice throws as well downfield. Thought Robbie Ashford did a good job of just pocket presence and stepping up in the pocket and making throws. Dante Reno got in there and had really did some good stuff in practice on Thursday after I saw you guys last week and did some stuff in the scrimmage. Davis Bevel as well. And then Luke worked some at quarterback. So to answer your question, not a lot of separation where I can come in here right now and say this guy's 1, this guy's 2, this guy's 3, and away we go. We're still competing, and those guys continue to make each other better. And today was a big day, and Thursday will be a big day, and then Saturday will be our last scrimmage before the spring game, and that'll be a big day also. But I like the progress that they're all making, and I, if you ask, okay, who made a jump? I thought Robbie Ashford made some nice throws and did some good stuff, but again, they're all just kind of continuing to learn everything from a mental standpoint and trying to get the game to slow down for them out there.
Shane, I think we've played about 10 minutes of Beamer talking about his quarterbacks this spring.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've gotten anything out of what he said. I mean, it seems like he's just talking in circles. Maybe he's doing it on purpose, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I think so, Mike. I'm doubling down, man. I just think the portal is scary for Shane Beamer and company.
Right.
This is a team that can easily be pillaged, and all it takes is 1 or 2 kids. You look at Robbie Ashford. Robbie may have made friends down there. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden he gets a call from Cal or a call from, hey, you come over here and start playing. And then next thing you know, you got 2 or 3 going with him. So that's what else all shit.
Cousin Rick gave us another $100. Says, Cousin Shane, please keep that shirt off.
You sound like my wife now. You gonna make me start turning the lights off? Oh, damn! Look how red I am. I look like I've been down there in Florida. That may be blood pressure. Maybe I should stop drinking so much.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of red, let's kick it all down to Tuscaloosa, Shane, where Kalen DeBoer met with the media here, and hey, he's liking the intensity. I guess this is kind of what you want to hear. Offense makes a play, then defense makes a play, back and forth, back and forth. Doesn't sound like anybody's quite got the upper hand. Again, Alabama's spring game is Saturday. ESPN, the only one not on the SEC Network Plus stuff. Let's kick it over to Kalen DeBoer talking some spring football.
At this stage of spring practice, the continuity and the confidence level between the quarterback and wide receiver room, how do you see that developing, and what's your confidence level as far as how you
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I think in that area, I see kind of ebbs and flows, and some of it has to do with the middle of spring ball. You see the rhythm coming, and them hitting some routes, and you're like, wow, we're getting there quick. And then you see the defense do a good job of adjusting to the things that our offense is starting to do well. Which is what they should, right? And the tendencies. And so, you take a lot of snaps against each other. So then all of a sudden you see it kind of fall off a little bit. And then the offense makes some adjustments in what you do in a game. And, we don't have everything installed. And you work on what you scripted that day. And so it's been, I can't say there are these huge highs and lows, which I'm glad. There's a consistent, I think, just continuing to move forward at the end of each week. And I thought we took a step forward today from what I would have said Wednesday or Friday. And so that was really good to see.
All right, Shane. So, they're all great down there in Alabama. That's the theme. We're going to do big things. We're going to get off to a 3-0 start. But it's all going to come down to that Georgia game. When Georgia comes to Tuscaloosa, hell, they could, even if they look good and they lose the game, I think fans can live with it now that we're in a 12-team playoff. But, man, you get embarrassed, and I think things could go sideways on you quickly at Alabama.
Of course, man. Everybody knew. We've been talking about this for a decade now. Whoever follows Nick Saban is going to have an uphill battle either way. The fact that you could come out with a 10-win season and it's not good enough. That's where Alabama's at right now with their coaching. They expect to keep going and compete for college football playoff spots. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure, man.
Cousin Jared, I appreciate you. $10.
Jared, thanks, Jared.
No message, Jared, but I think he wants you to keep your shirt on too, Shane.
Yeah. Buy some hot dogs after this one.
Now I know someone you're coming around on, Shane. You're so fired up for this Kentucky offense.
Yes.
Mark Stoops asked about it's coming along, but interesting comments here. Let's talk about it on the other side.
When you talked about getting the big picture of the offense, kind of
interesting
right
angle.
track, is a lot of it just reps, or have they mentally picked it up pretty well?
They picked it up very well, I'd say to this. Again, as I just told them, but we can't get misconstrued and think you have it all figured out, because there's so many moving pieces and you keep on adding more, and we're not even game planning. And so it's got to be just done so efficiently, and we need to bank thousands of reps. And, whether it's this offense, last year's offense, any of it, the process, getting lined up, the motions, anything, like it's got to be second nature to us. And then we got to go play at a high level and beat people. And so there's a balance there, again, how much we're feeding them, how much they can handle. As I mentioned, I think it's easier when it's segmented, when they know what's coming and they know what we're working on. When you put it all together, it goes fast.
What happened? Did Calipari take the camera, dead center with him or something?
No, I tell you what. And that was coach speak, man. That's what I can't stand. Coach Stoops is usually pretty good about telling you what's going on and how he feels about a certain situation, but telling me how he's breaking it down for the new guys, get out of here. Coach, you can do better than that.
Yeah, we've seen him get heated during spring. Even,
I want to see heated.
That's
what we
people
want.
Out saying we need to donate, get us some players and all this. Yeah, well, I'm
shit.
missing that from him.
Cal was just sitting on a $10,000 couch telling you how bad he's going to miss this damn place. It's time that football can take the reins. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're Big Blue Nation, this is an opportunity for football to be the program when you talk about Kentucky. And I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like that. I come out here and tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, that is interesting, Shane. I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking something about something similar, but you kind of forgot about it till you just mentioned it. But again, we know basketball's king and all that in Lexington, but this is an opportunity if Kentucky has a huge, let's say they make the college football playoff, which I realize that's a long shot, but it's not completely unrealistic in a 12-team model, and the basketball team kind of falls apart. This is an opportunity for Mark Stoops and company to kind of plant their flag and be the program, the best program right now in Lexington.
Because you're seeing other teams like Kentucky do it. You're looking at Ole Miss. You're looking at Mizzou. These are teams that, your papaw, when they watched them, never had an opportunity to win. Oh, my gosh, thank you, brother. But I'm just telling you, man, Kentucky has a real opportunity to be that team, to create that buzz. They're already getting the transfers in. You know what I'm saying? They're already putting kids in the NFL. They're doing the right part. It's just they haven't put it quite together yet, and these stupid rumors about possibly leaving for A&M and all that stuff. It's like, you have a real opportunity to just shoot the gun, man. Just let everybody know that Kentucky's not going anywhere.
Right. And Shoelace says, another $100. Appreciate you. Little Debbie allowance. Gotta go. Keep up the good work later. So that'll go to the Little Debbie fund.
Let me talk Little Debbie for a second, Mike, because I've been trying to be a good boy. I really have been off of them. But I am a Little Debbie lover. I don't know if you knew this, but I do like a couple of the cakes that they provide. And the last one right now, man, and I can't get off of it, is the Swiss cake rolls. So if you're looking at Shane's list right now, I'm on the Swiss cake. I was zebra cake for a little bit, but I've switched it up. Now that Nick Saban's gone. Now, if he comes back, I'll get back on my oatmeal cream pie. So,
John says, just keep live streaming until Shoelace goes broke. All right, let's get over to Sarkisian next. And Shane, again, I'm catching a similar vibe from Sarkisian all spring. He's happy with his team, happy with the roster. He's happy with the culture. Again, the portal's opening up here. He is staying strong with his message here. Let's kick it over to Sark. A little bit of a longer one, but I thought it was a good one.
We're having a really competitive spring practice right now. We have a really competitive practice/scrimmage on Saturday. Physical, a lot of tackling. which we needed. And we came back again today and was really impressed with the mental intensity, the focus, the effort, the speed at practice. They brought it again today. So really encouraged by that. I'd say something that we talked a lot about to the team today was this. You know, in the past, as we were building this program, we talked a lot about culture beats talent. And that we had to build a really strong culture to beat maybe teams that maybe had a little better talent than we did early on. And now we've assembled a pretty talented football team. But we still need the culture. Because as I touched on, I think at some points last year, culture and talent together, that's really dangerous. And so we don't ever want to sacrifice the team mentality just because we have the talent now, because that we're going to need both to try to go win a championship this fall. And I think our guys have been very responsive to that. And I think it's something that as we continue to grow with this team, as we get through the second half of spring practice here, as we head into the summer and working on our culture in the summer and then into training camp, that as we're building the team physically and as guys are getting better at their fundamentals, at their techniques, at understanding the scheme, we're not losing sight of the culture and how important that aspect is for us to be a championship team, come the fall.
Lacking at this point?
No.
You feel like you need to talk to the guys about the culture?
I feel like this. I feel like we exhausted ourselves on building our culture over the last 2 years to really build this thing the way we wanted it to. And I think one thing as coaches, the mistake we can make is we got it. And I talked about early on in January, complacency is the devil. And if I get complacent like, hey, our culture is just great, and I neglect it, sooner or later it will start to deteriorate. And so I just want to stay on point with that stuff so that they understand the value of it, because a lot of these guys weren't here when we built that culture. And so we have to go back to square one and rebuild it over again, because every team takes on a personality of its own. And we got to make sure that we've got really quality leadership. We got to make sure the younger players are buying into the ideas of our culture and why they're important so they can understand that. And so that takes time. And I know our guys are working so hard at football right now. I want to make sure that we continue to work hard on our culture. And so that aspect of it, that's on me. I have to continually reinforce those things to get this culture on point so that when Labor Day weekend rolls around, as good as talented as we are, man, our culture is just as strong. And that's when we'll be the best team that we can be.
Are you able to reinforce?
So the reason
for shoelace, we put Texas on the tail end here. So I was watching I'm sorry, I'm getting to you, Mike, but I noticed all the food there at the bottom. And real quick, power ranking, Swiss cake is number one right now for me. The oatmeal cream pies, not the little ones. I'm talking the big ones. You know what I mean, fat asses out there. And then the third one is the zebra cakes. And then the worst ones is the cosmic brownie, and I'm going to die on that hill. That or the one with the 3 raisins. All right, sorry.
Shane, I think you've rated those about 24 times on this show, just so you know.
I'm going to keep doing it until they sponsor this damn place.
But no, the reason I wanted to play that, Shane, because it's completely different in my mind than a lot of these guys who are sitting here saying, we're searching for answers here, we're searching for answers there, we got our eye on the portal. I don't know about the quarterbacks. I don't know about the offensive line. I don't know about the defensive backs. I've not heard any of that from Sarkisian. And it's a different approach. I mean, it's like an internal approach. You hear Kirby, he's the only one probably close to it. And he's basically downplaying, we ain't got any players. We're no good. We're garbage. Sark's not quite going that far. Kiffin, I think, is incredibly satisfied with his roster. So what are they doing? They're having a fun day. You know what I mean? Whereas Billy Napier, who is, let's face it, his job's on the line. We got to find answers. We got to find them now. I don't know. I guess the point I'm trying to make here, Shane, is, again, I know virtually everybody's high on Texas. I'm not. But Sarkisian he's winning me over with all these press conferences.
He is, man. It almost makes you feel like you said that he's already got him a national championship team, and he's looking for like maybe 1 or 2 to help out competitive depth. So, yeah, I like that confidence coming into the SEC, brother. And that's why we've got some of these so many marquee games. When you look at Texas' schedule, we're like, can't wait to watch that one. Can't wait to watch that one, because you're anticipating a top 5 team coming in here.
Right. And then one more from Sark, a little bit different. He was asked about the portal and all the changes and all that. And I like this message, Shay, because we keep hearing, oh, this portal's killing the sport, this, that, college football's ruined, blah, blah, blah. Sark's got a different approach, and I think it's the right one.
The Division I Council is going to meet again next week about transfer window. And there's even been some talk about mid-season transfers. Would that be total chaos?
Are they going to do trades? Are we going to get to trade? Hey, Kirby, I need a safety. You want a wideout? I mean, how's this going to work? I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's just kind of like, just tell us what the rules are, and then we'll adapt to them and do the best we can.
Doesn't that scare you, though? That even might be considered?
Well, at this point, nothing surprises me. You know, we're in this era right now that there's a lot of extraneous factors. It's not just about us as coaches, right? There's judges, right? There's you know, we're going to Capitol Hill to talk about what's happening in college football, and so there's a lot that is going into this right now. And I think ultimately everybody wants to do what's best for all parties involved: the student athlete, the universities, and then managing it from a coach's perspective on what our lives look like on a daily basis too, so that we can put a really good product on the field. You know, I've said this all along. I think college football is at an all-time high. The interest level in it, what goes around it. You guys all do a great job of covering our sport. People are intrigued by it. They're excited by it. There's great stories. There's great players. And I try to fight against some of the negativity that swirls a little bit around college football, because we got a great game, and we've got great coaches and great players and support from universities. And I just want to make sure when the dust all settles and whatever they tell us we can and can't do, we all operate within the framework of what they say we can do, and then try to put together a good team and then good conferences and really competitive play that our fans and then fans around the country and around the world love saying, man, I can't wait for Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening to watch college football, because I do think it's an awesome game right now, and it's getting played at a really high level.
Yeah, it's an awesome game, Shade. Now, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. But it is a great game, and I like the positive message there. But in case you were a little unfamiliar with what they're talking about, they are kind of kicking around the idea of unlimited transfers, no limits, all this, and we're kind of already there. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, and when you say they are kicking around, what do you mean they? Who's they?
I think it's the NCAA Council, something or other, which may not even be a thing in about 2 years. You know what?
Just put a bullet in them already. Jeez, think about what they want to do next in their life. You know, maybe want to get on there at LinkedIn and try to find you another spot. You know what I'm saying? So we've had enough of your ideas, NCAA.
Right. Well, yeah, but I remember, I think it was you just recently asked me if they can kind of transfer in the middle of the year. They may be able to do that, I guess, but hopefully I'm all for player movement, but during the season, not a big fan of that.
Well, if you're going to mimic the NFL, then you've got to do it all the way around. I mean, we've beat this dead horse a million times, and it just feels like if we're going to start doing mid-season stuff, then we got to start implementing contracts. We got to have something that secures your program, because if that's the case, literally half your team can leave tomorrow, and then you can't field a program, So it's on the verge. I'm not saying there's ever going to be a walkout or anything like that, but that if there's that option, it could always happen.
Yep. All right, Shade. So that's all I got on this episode of the show. You got anything before we hop off the line?
No, I appreciate everybody, all the cousins out there, and that gave, and the ones that didn't. Those I appreciate y'all too. Y'all were the reason that they are here. A lot of you, So I appreciate everybody taking their time to hang out with us, talk a little college football in April, and the show comes out tomorrow. We posted on Twitter. If you if you want to help us out, man, just give us a little retweet. You know what I'm saying? That'll cost nothing. Get up there and give us a retweet and a like. Maybe somebody in your feed will find this show, and we just want to keep growing the family.
Absolutely. Well, buddy, I appreciate you. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially those that showed up on the live show. We'll catch you on the next one.
And the winner today is Oklahoma. See you.